a business can be run on 2 or 3 metrics. At Enso, we run it on MRR, churn, and burn, and that's it. To keep it simple. So the one metric I would look at is how much additional revenue per listing per month are you generating? Is it covering your tech stack? Is it adding additional revenue that you could use towards improving some of your properties or acquiring new properties and so on? The secondary metric I would look at is any improvements in your guest experience. So the first one tells you, am I making money? The second one tells you, am I nickeling and diming my guests? Is it frustrating them effectively? And this leads to the question of what is the format in which you're presenting these upsells and these fees?
Welcome to RevLabs by PriceLabs.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the PriceLabs podcast. I'm Thibault Masson, the head of product marketing for PriceLabs. And today we're going to be talking about how to make more revenue thanks to upselling. I have an expert for that topic. It's Francois Gouelo, the founder, CEO of Enso Connect. Without further ado, let's welcome him. Francois, how are you?
I'm good. It's nice to see you, Thibault. Excited to see you in Skill, France next week. Should be fun.
Exactly. Indeed, right? By the time you guys hear this, we'll be in France speaking French. But, bear with us. We'll be speaking English today. And I think my accent is way stronger than that of Francois. So, so to make it very clear, Francois, can you just maybe introduce Enso Connect to our listeners?
100%. So Enso Connect, we are a guest experience platform for vacation rentals, apart hotels, and so on. We focus on 3 core value propositions. 1, increase revenue per guest. 2, save time. And 3, drive more 5-star bookings. And how we do this is with a guest experience platform, a guest communication platform, and a guest retention system, all in one. So really just trying to digitize and monetize your guest experience is our core focus at Enso Connect.
And to be concrete here, to talk about the focus on the topic of upselling. So you talked about communication, for example. So at what stage of the guest journey, pre-arrival, during their stay, for example, when is the best time to introduce upsells, according to you?
100%. So we look at upsells kind of holistically, and we see it be applied throughout the guest journey. Now, the first step is converting that inquiry into a reservation. Once you've captured that guest, the first step is to understand who is that guest. Are they traveling for business? Are they traveling for pleasure? And based on that information, you can then start personalizing their journey and figuring out what are the things that you could monetize for that guest, whether it's before they check in, an early check-in. I mean, you don't want to be selling an early check-in when they're checking out. That doesn't usually bode very well. But also knowing, if they're a business traveler landing at 9 a.m., maybe a luggage drop-off area or a partnership with a luggage drop-off system could benefit you as well. And we've seen different cases. I'll be more specific in a minute.
And so indeed, speaking of cases, right? So we're talking upsells, and to make it like very, vivid as an example, what kind of examples can we think of? Because on my mind, of course, you talk about check-in, early check-in, for example, or late checkout, for example. I'm guessing. Yeah. There's probably things I can upsell that I can offer usually and make it fee. Can I upsell stuff I'm not offering that I partner with? So when you think about upsell and like I need to find ways to make revenue, what kind of upsell can I think of?
Yeah, so I'm going to bucket upsells because since we're talking about revenue, I'm going to bucket upsells and I'm going to bucket fees, 2 separate streams, because there's something on fees as well that I want to talk about. Looking at upsells, I categorize them into 3 buckets. The first one is what we call operational upsells, which is going to be your things that touch to your operations. So early check-in, late checkout, mid-stay cleaning, gap nights or orphan nights, anything that's going to change not only the guest folio in your PMS, but also some sort of reservation component, whether it's a cleaner reservation or the actual guest reservation check-in times and so on. The experiential upsells is my second sort of bucket. And these are going to be things like tours, activities, really anything, transportation from the airport to the property. Now you can use third-party systems like Viator, Get Your Guide. We also have embedded over 300,000 of these upsells in Enso Connect. That's being released in the next couple of weeks for everyone. It's in beta right now. And it's going to convert a bit less. On your operational upsells, you'll see anywhere between 15 to 65% conversion, depending on how you operate. Whereas on the experiential upsells, you'll see something along the lines of 5 to 15%. And then the last bucket is what I call in-house upsells. Now, these ones are a bit more complicated because they either require delivery or require access. So meaning delivery would be things like coffee pods, amenities, little kits and so on. So that requires someone to deliver that to the house for that reservation. There's great companies like Sojo out there that are, doing some of these things. And then you have requires access. And I have one example from Orlando that's, quite shocking, but really interesting, is like pool heating. It's very common in Orlando to heat your pool, and that'll be up to like $40, $50, $80 per day to heat that pool. But someone needs to do that either remotely or in person to give access to those controls. So operational, experiential, and then in-house. In-house really depends. I mean, we're talking 3 to 68% conversion, depending on your market and depending on what you're selling.
Really genuine question for me. I have no clue about this. You talk about orphan nights, which obviously,
Yes.
I guess the ears of brand managers here picked up. So just for me to understand, in that case, would it be that, there's an orphan night, so there's like, you have 2 bookings, there's a gap in between, and within PriceLabs, for example, we're able to, have rules about this, if offer nights and maybe, lower bit the prices, make sure you can fit this up. So would it mean, and we send this the price to the PMS, would it mean that you guys would pick up the price from the PMS and help sell that? How does it work?
So within Enso Connect, we actually take the price of the past reservation and allow you to put a discount on that rate. So whatever rate the guest had, you will put a discount to it. So it's a 20% discount if you stay an extra night based on whatever PriceLabs pushed for the previous stay for those reservations. That would be how the gap night system works for payment side of things.
Okay, so it's consistent and it's not like big hikes or too much.
You don't want to have a guest who paid $100 a night and then now his gap night's $200. It's like it's not the incentive. The incentive's not there.
You started talking about a client in Florida, and again, I'm trying to think. Imagine I want to do all this at scale, right? I'm a very big vacation rental manager. Do you have an example of one of those large companies that's using Enso Connect and maybe shares with us how they increase their revenues through upsells?
100%. So, I mean, we have dozens, if not hundreds, of companies that work with us that have proven that this model works. They're able to generate revenues from as low as $30, $40 per listing per month in additional revenue, all the way up to $150 to $200 in certain cases, especially when they start looking at some of the fee structure that you can start building. And I'll get to that in a minute. One example that we've been using quite often over the past couple of weeks and months, just because it's been a bit of an outlier and quite a fantastic company to work with, is Goodnight Stay. They have about 400 listings out of Phoenix. And since I've been to Phoenix now 4 times this year, it's the one that comes to top of mind. Now they'll do things operational, experiential, in-house, as well as fees. And in their first, we told them that they would pay off their subscription within 6 months. They first started making their first dollars in 9 days and paid off the year in 18 days. They're now generating north of $110,000 a month. In the first 6 months, they made about $250,000, but now they're doing consistently anywhere between $80,000 to $110,000 a month, which is, I would say one of the leading players there. We have another one called Simplissimo, a bit more hotel-like, apart hotels out of Montreal. Their average revenue per listing is much higher on upsells specifically, ranging at $175, which is quite impressive. And this is going to be things like breakfast, coffee pods, tips, early check-ins, late checkouts, mid-stay cleanings, activities, bike rentals. I mean, they've just built a whole store of experiences effectively that they curate.
I really like it. I guess run managers too, that you're giving like data, money, dollars. We're talking dollars here, probably US dollars, not Canadian dollars only, right?
Converted to US dollars. Yeah. Not being cheeky.
So let's keep on talking about data, impact, and metrics. So imagine that our company wants to, a vacation rental manager, we really want to get into upsells and more. What is success? How to measure success here? Is it just dollar value? You started talking about you talked about upsell value per listing. How do I measure things to say, yep, that's working? Whatever we're doing here, everything we're sending, it's working, it's converting well, and we are also profitable, by the way, on this.
100%. I mean, I like to keep things simple, and it's the same with our business at Enso. We have all these metrics of how many people do this and how they onboard that, and But at the end of the day, a business can be run on 2 or 3 metrics. You know, at Enso, we run it on MR, churn, and burn, and that's it. To keep it simple. So the one metric I would look at is how much additional revenue per listing per month are you generating? You know, is it covering your tech stack? Is it adding additional revenue that you could use towards improving some of your properties or acquiring new properties and so on? The secondary metric I would look at is any improvements in your guest experience. So the first one tells you, am I making money? The second one tells you, am I nickeling and diming my guests? Is it frustrating them effectively? And this leads to the question of what is the format in which you're presenting these upsells and these fees? Because anyone can do upsells today. Pardon me for all the dinging. This is all the meetings I have apparently today. Let me just hit do not disturb. So the first one just tells you, am I making enough money to, you know, either justify a cost or to justify pursuing this? The second one, really what it tells you is, as I mentioned, nickeling and diming, and it's all because about the present these upsells. So if you present them as a message and you were to say to the guest, hey, would you like an early check-in? I might tell you 6 months in advance, yeah, I'm interested. You don't have the payment information. You don't yet know if you can offer this early check-in. So now you just have this information that maybe they want something. You're going to have to remember to reach out to them. And that mentality of, yes, I want an early check-in might change the day of. So changing the format where instead you're proactively presenting it as part of their verification process. So, you know, collecting IDs, signing agreements, you know, paying any sort of city tax, pet fees, and so on. If you present it as an option and show them proactively these different opportunities that they have, and then collect an imprint of their credit card, letting them initially think that they are in fact purchasing an early check-in. And I'm using the early check-in as the example because it's the usual contentious one. You now have their credit card information. You now know that they've requested it. You send an automatic message to the guest saying, hey, we've received your request, but we'll let you know closer to the date if we can offer it. Now the guest can't back out. They can't change their mind and say, you know what? I don't want an early check-in anymore. It's the exact same principle as upgrades on flights. When you request an upgrade a few weeks before on a flight, you can't cancel it. Once you've requested it, you're on that wait list. You're on that list of people who are asking for an upgrade. You can't go back and say, you know what? I'm okay with the exit row. Nope, too late. You requested it, you're on the wait list, and that's it. And once it's available, bam, it's going to charge your card. So these little changes in how you present upsells, not just by messages, but with guest apps and so on, increase conversion significantly on operational, experiential, and in-house upsells. The fees, which I know I said I'd hint to, and I'll give a little part on that one, because that I would say is a huge revenue generator. And people don't realize that if presented properly, you can, you know, almost add $50 to $100 per reservation instantly. And all that money goes straight to you, not the owner. So from a margin increase perspective, adding, you know, an additional $50, for example, to a reservation, let's say a total booking of $2,000, you're adding 11% on your gross margins. Adding $500 on that reservation that you keep is 111% increase in gross margin.
And are you talking like a booking fee, a transaction fee, and it's kind of like mysterious fees?
Yeah, these mysterious fees. So there's two main ones that I've seen perform really well. The first one is pet fees. Now, people always present pet fees as an optional item, right? You say how many pets you have, you get to the fee section, and what usually guests do is they go back and they say, never mind, I don't have any pets. And so you never really get your pet fees. You occasionally get them when you have honest guests, but you know, that's basing a lot of trust on people you don't know. The way we do it at Enso is you collect that information, they get to the pet fee section, and they all try to go back, but they can't. They can't go back and say, never mind, I don't have any pets. So they're kind of forced through this path. And so we see an increase in conversion of pet fees. But my favorite one is damage waivers. And this is very misunderstood in the industry. Damage waivers are seen as this very nickely and dimey, let me add and tackle on this additional fee for guests. But again, if you present it well, and if you create optionality, you will not piss off the guests and you will generate additional revenue. So what I recommend in this case is to present the option between a damage waiver or a safety deposit, and let the guests choose what they want. 60% of guests will pay the damage waiver because it's fast, it's whatever, it's, you know, it's $50, let me forget about it. The math to create the arbitrage on how to generate additional income is to make sure that your damage waiver is between 20 to 30% of your safety deposit. So if you have a $250 safety deposit, you should have roughly a $50 damage waiver if you want to see those 60% conversion rates. And again, you're giving the guest the choice. They can choose. It's hold on the card and then you'll get your money back, or one-time fee and that's it. The last point I'll make on this, because I always get this challenge, okay, but if they choose the damage waiver, they'll trash my place. Well, let's look at the math. If you have 10 guests and you have one guest that's a bad actor, and out of those 10 guests, you look at 60% of them, you've collected the damage waiver. You've made $300 on those 10 guests. Okay, the remaining ones, you have a $250 safety deposit. Assuming that one guest does create damage, and having 10% of your guests creating damage, you have a bigger problem in your hands than damage waivers or safety deposits. You're in the green. You have $300. The safety deposit was $250. And the trick is to say in your agreement that this damage waiver only covers damages up to the deposit amount. That is the ultimate underlier of this arbitrage. If you forget that, then yes, the math doesn't make any sense, because now you might have a $3,000 claim and you can only cover him, you only made $50 on that. So again, it's all about arbitrage. We're launching a blog post on how to operationalize that the best, but it's probably one of my most exciting fees, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I worked on a project at some point for some company, and indeed, the take rate was crazy. As you said, right, it's all about making this interesting to you, to the person purchasing, because you're talking about trust, talking about going on vacation, having to worry about nothing. So that's great. To finish it up, so if people are, want to know how to actually do upsells using Enso Connect, how your technology works, whether it's compatible with our PMS and so on, what's the best way to get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, on our website, ensoconnect.com, it's ENSO, not with a Z, but with an S, so not spelled like the Ferrari, although we do move that fast. And we also have, for those of you who are kind of beginners and just want to understand a bit more this whole operational experiential, we have a course, actually, which I'll share with you, Thibault, to share with the audience, that kind of walks you through some of the most basic components behind upsells if you're still warming up to it. And then check out our case studies, because honestly, they speak volume in revenue that people are able to generate. We have a lot of naysayers who were against upsells and used us for AI messaging and check-in, and then, added one upsell, made a bit of money, added two, and now they're just generating additional revenue. And yeah, there's some really fantastic data there.
It's cool to hear. Thank you so much for your time today and for sharing with the revenue managers all the ways to increase revenue. That's always fantastic.
Always. Thank you, Thibault, for having me. Appreciate it. See you in France.
Exactly. See you very soon.